Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl. I'm an Enterprise Growth Lead here at Cookiy AI, and today I am here with...
Denyse, Drummond-Dunn.
Okay, Denyse, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do right now?
Yes, I'm the founder and president of C3 Centricity, and I'm a growth catalyst. And what I do these days is I reignite momentum in careers and companies.
Great to hear that. I think that's such a meaningful thing to do these days. And given that you have also a lot of background within the research space, right? So I think today we'll be talking a little bit more about what's happening within market research today, given that there's a lot more chats around technologies, AI that's coming to the mix right now. So maybe can I ask our first question, where do you think market research is under pressure right now? Whether is it speed, relevance, scale, or business impact?
Cheryl, I think it's a great question, but I think it's in all areas because I believe we're at a crossroads today.
Yeah.
Because of AI, we can do a lot more work faster. And I think that is a big danger for us because we can do more with less because AI can take over a certain number of our previous jobs, such as finding information, synthesizing information, whereas we should use that time that we've saved for more thinking. Because the danger is you're far too young, and probably most of the audience is, to remember the first days of computing. But in those days, we used to talk about GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. And the problem with AI today is it will answer questions, even when they're wrong. And our job now in market research is to make sure that we ask the right questions. And when we have information, is to question what is delivered by AI and not take it for granted. AI today can produce dashboards in minutes rather than days or weeks as we do. So the problem is that we'll take a dashboard and we'll make a decision based on that without really understanding the context or checking to see what's missing. And this is our job today, is questioning what comes out, using the time to become, if you were listening to Lara this morning, she was talking about becoming a provocateur. And I like that idea that we need to use that time to think, but also to ask the awkward questions, whether that's back to AI or management. So I think in all areas, market research will change, and it has to change. Because if we don't use AI as augmenting our intelligence, it just becomes faster reporting.
Love that. I think I like what you say around like providing context, because generally if you just, accept whatever answer that AI gives to you, as in we already know that it gives us a lot of speed, it doesn't necessarily give us the right output that we might be looking for all the time. So we cannot put heavy reliance on it. We still, humans still have a major part to play, right? It should be our tool that we should, use to supercharge us, right, to do our daily jobs as researchers. So I think, I think there's still a lot of, importance in the aspect, right? Feeding it and taking a lot more ownership of like using these types of tools the right way.
Absolutely. And the problem is, as I said, is AI will always give us answers,
Yes.
whatever question we ask, even when the question's wrong. So we have to be sure that what we're asking is relevant and adds understanding to what we already know. So use AI for what it's good at, which is synthesizing, developing charts, summary reports, but then use what we're good at, which is understanding the emotions that change consumer behavior, and then to really stress test the ideas coming out of AI. Does it make sense? What do we now do with this information? How does the business have to change? Instead of just taking what AI tells us and doing it.
Yes, for sure. So I think like the beauty of AI, at least from what we've all experienced, is that you are able to continuously feed it more information, more context, more, to fine tune the final output that you're looking for, so that you're able to still do consumer research, do what you're best at doing, right? Understanding consumers directly. And that's how we can kind of propel ourselves forward in a very quick and fast pace in the world of AI today. Yes.
Yes. I think we have to also be careful that we use AI in the right way. And then, as I said, we augment it with our understanding.
Yes.
Because there are some things AI can't do. And we have built up from our experience things such as empathy and sense making that become so vital. And if we don't question what AI produces, I think we lose a lot of the potential of AI to support us, as I said, bringing this augmented intelligence rather than just using it as a faster reporting machine. So I think we have to be very careful about making sure we add to what AI produces and not take AI as it stands.
For sure, for sure. Great. Okay. So thanks, Denyse. I think we will move on to our next question. All right, Denyse, thanks so much for those answers. I think building on to those points that you have mentioned earlier, right? So even in this day and age of AI, where do you think humans matter the most when we do market research?
I think, as I mentioned before, we have certain skills that are not soft skills. They're very important for keeping AI honest and, to be honest, market research in their jobs. Because if we only rely on it as faster reporting, AI is going to replace us. If we limit to data and analysis, AI can do it faster than we can.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we make sure that we are always adding to what we get from AI. And I think it's become today an opportunity, especially for qualitative research, because quite often it's the qualitative that is the sense maker to what AI produces. Because AI can produce, as I said, analysis and summaries, etc. But then it's humans that notice the emotions and the sentiments that consumers have when they're buying, when they're talking about certain brands. So I think it's very important for us to complement what AI does with augmented intelligence by looking at how are the consumers responding and to translate that into stories. Because I think storytelling will also become important because it goes from, if you don't include storytelling, then AI can send out the reports for you. But if you have the report and then you add to it by giving examples, what does the company do now? And telling stories. Stories are what moves meetings from, well, that was interesting, to we've got to act on this now because we've made it something personal to the people listening. And AI, I think, loses that personal touch. And we can bring that because we're emotional human beings. So we must remember that and add that to what AI brings us.
Awesome. I think you mentioned about, qualitative research and emotional analysis, or being able to read emotions, I think. What if we say, like, today, AI is able to do emotional analysis for us? What do you think about this statement?
I think AI can identify sentiment, but I think we understand what's behind. We understand the emotions of whether somebody's, for instance, if I say yes, I could say yes or yes. There are so many ways of saying yes. And certainly today, AI is not picking up those different emotions. And I think that it's vital that we understand and we use that sense making to understand what we are seeing, because AI won't pick up. For instance, if you ask me a question and I answer immediately, that's fine. But if I pause for a second, why am I pausing? Am I pausing because I don't understand? Because I'm confused? If somebody picks up a pack in a shelf and turns it over and puts it back, AI will record that as they rejected it. But in fact, putting the pack back on the shelf could mean I didn't understand, or the information I was looking for was not on that pack. So making sense of what AI is noting, you're right. AI can analyze video, but again, adding the sense to what it's seeing, I think it's still many years out.
Ooh, okay. I think later I can give you a demo of what Cookiy can do for emotional analysis. But I think you're right? It's not just like what you say or like maybe just small expression. It's a combination of all of these factors, right? Sometimes your eyebrow twitching or like your mouth smiling or even the tone of how you deliver, like certain messages. Actually, at Cookiy, we are doing that already. So I'm gonna get you on that.
I have had a look already, and I'm fascinated by how far you've come. I think you're far ahead of any other company to date. And as I said, I'm speaking from where AI is today. I don't know how fast we'll get there because I still believe humans have something to add.
For sure.
So whatever AI can analyze, and I remember I've worked with companies in the old days of eye tracking and such like. But again, what people were looking at is only one part of the story. Why they were looking at and what they were thinking when they were looking at it can change completely.
Definitely.
The way they're looking. So I think with sentiment, AI, yes, can identify sentiment, but those pregnant pauses, as we say, those glances, those body language movements, that there are so many. And quite often, even we don't know we're doing them.
Yeah.
We're picking them up from each other, but we don't actually identify them. It's something happening in the subconscious.
Yes.
So I think it's going to take a lot of learning for AI to get there. And of course, AI only gives us what we give it. So we have to give a lot more information. And as I said, unfortunately today, a lot of what goes on in the human brain, we don't understand or we don't even know it's going on.
Certainly, yeah. So I do see your point, right? I think definitely with whatever's happening, context is super important. Humans or even AI moderators these days need to come in to probe a little bit. Like, hey, I noticed that you paused over there. Can you tell me a little bit more why so? For example, so I think there is still layers, right, beyond just like what's happening. I think there needs to be a conversation to better understand what's happening with a clip in time.
Absolutely. And I think this is something I'll be speaking this afternoon on it. And I think one thing that's becoming very clear is market researchers need to use the time that they gain from AI in new and different ways, whether it's more thinking time or whether it's more conversations with stakeholders. I think they are so important, and market research has not been very good at speaking across the organization. And I think unfortunately one of the problems has been market research has often reported into marketing when in fact market research can help all departments. And I think yesterday's presentation by Nestle was excellent because it was from R&D, a completely different area that they were using research. So I think market research has to get out from under the umbrella of marketing and make more conversations with stakeholders across the organization.
Definitely. All right, Denyse, thanks so much. I would go on to my final question right now. So it will be, what is the one mindset shift that market research leaders need to make when it comes to AI in the next coming years or even the next year?
Great question, Cheryl. I think actually there are three, not one. I think that we have to change our opinion of AI as being faster automation. I've talked a lot about augmented intelligence, and I think the three areas where we need to look and think differently in market research is, first of all, what are the questions that we're asking, and what are the questions we're being asked to answer? For instance, I have an insight development project called CatSight, where I encourage people to go from business objectives to consumer aims. In other words, what are consumers aiming to do? What solutions are they looking for? And what needs to change in their attitudes and behaviors to make that change? The second area, I think, is, as I mentioned before, using your influence, because you have information on consumers, on the market, on the future, on competitors, information that's valid across the organization. So I would say making sure that you widen your influence, especially in the days of AI. It was similar when questionnaires went online and marketers said, oh, we don't need market research. We can do everything online ourselves, is to bring that added perspective to all different departments, because you know better than anyone else the market, the consumer, and the future. And then I think the third area is to use the time that you've saved with AI for thinking. No meetings, no agenda, just with yourself, stress testing your ideas, making sense of what AI has produced, and making sure that you know who in the organization needs this information and how you can help the organization with the challenges they're facing. And I think if we keep those three things in mind, we're adding, as I said, augmenting the intelligence given by AI
Yes.
with things that only humans can give.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Denyse, for sharing the 3 key points. I think maybe just to add on as well, when it comes to talking about AI within an organization, I think it's really important for leaders to share a little bit more about what kind of culture they want to build. Let people be open to trying out new tools and solutions, right? Not just stick to what we already know just because it's comfortable. Yeah. So I think that's maybe what I want to add on to whatever you just shared.
Absolutely. As long as we keep human judgment in the room, we'll keep our jobs. Otherwise, we risk with AI.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Denyse. I really had a nice time talking to you today.
Thank you. Me too, Cheryl.